Another factor that you should also think about before purchasing leather, its temper. It's what? Like, is it a mad cow? An angry heifer? No, silly, not that kind of temper. Temper is a term relating to how flexible the leather is. In the leatherwork community, you'll often hear hard, medium, or soft temper. Let's take a look at some examples. Now, this leather would be considered fairly hard or firm temper. See how inflexible it is? If you wanted to make a wallet, this wouldn't be a good choice. However, I have used this exact leather to make a nice desk mat for a customer. It was a good choice because it's fairly thick, with a firm temper, so it was tough enough to have a variety of things sitting on it, laptops, books, things like that, but still not flop around. Now, this leather would be considered a mid or medium temper leather. It has some flexibility, but doesn't collapse in your hand. And this leather falls into the soft temper category. As you can see, it's very pliable and doesn't hold its shape. This one is a chrome tan leather and feels super soft and buttery, but it wouldn't be a good choice if you were making something that required structure, because as you can see, this leather is very flexible and it doesn't hold its shape. Now, none of these leathers are necessarily better or worse than the other. It just depends on what best fits your needs. To some extent, weight and temper go hand in hand. It stands to reason that the thicker the leather is, the more inflexible or more firm the temper would be, and vice versa. That is usually the case for really thick or really thin leathers. You're not likely to find a 12-ounce leather with a soft temper, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a 2-ounce leather with a firm temper. However, in the mid-weight range, like 4 to 7 ounces, that's where you see the most variety in temper.
Here's a way that you can test the temper of your leather, kind of an at-home temper test to determine whether it's a soft, medium, or more firm temper. Lay the leather out on a flat surface. Gather the leather like this, okay? I'm gonna crunch it up in the top, and then try to push it down. If it's difficult, see how that's difficult to push down, then you can know that that will have a medium to firm temper based on the difficulty, because that will simulate what it's like if you're having to use it, if you're making a bag or something larger with it and you're having to put multiple pieces together. That's pretty tough right there. Even though this particular leather is only 3 to 4 ounces, it's a thinner weight leather, but it still has a fairly firm temper. Now let's take a look at this one. This is actually a 5 to 6 ounce leather, chrome tan leather as well, but it's even thicker in weight, heavier in weight than the last leather. But let's see, do the same temper test. I'm going to pick that up and push it down. That went down a lot easier, much easier. So this right here would have a softer temper when compared to the last one. This one is going to be much softer to work with relative to temper. Now, there are things called a temper meter that some leather suppliers will have, and that's actually a gauge that they can put on the leather, and it reads the temper via a number. It equates a number to the temper for that particular leather, but those are very expensive, and I don't have one of those. It's not likely that you'll have one of those. And so this is a nice way to do a quick at-home test or a test at the leather shop if you're physically able to go and pick your leather out in person. I would recommend, doing that to get a nice idea of what type of temper the leather is.
Based on what we've discussed, take a moment and select the best temper for your desired outcome. That's under number 5 in your cheat sheet. So get that done, and in the next lesson, we'll talk perfection.